All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane. After Royal AM did what Royal AM do. What Royal AM do is to give 4 goals to Pirates this season. And well done to the boys for making sure that this reaction is not about bad refereeing in our country. Now, Royal AM were only good for 60 minutes, which meant that Orlando Pirates had to be good for only 30 minutes in this game. I can be entirely honest about that. We were very poor for about 60 minutes, and Royal AM started to tire. After that, of course, there's a goal before the 60th minute mark. We score, obviously, around 25 minutes, a penalty which was wrongly given, in my opinion. But as soon as they start to tire, after about an hour or so, then something starts to happen, which is something that I knew and spoke about before this game, is that there's a lot of gaps. Royal AM will then start to give you gaps in between their lines, which they do, and then we start to dominate. I think with the gaps in between their lines, their defense, their midfield, so many gaps in between. And something that happened again around the 60th minute mark is that we substituted out Munapule Saleng and brought on someone like Kabelo Dlamini. I think to start with, Saleng plays because Jose Rivero knows that their defense likes to step up, and so there'll be space in behind them, which I think we saw in the first half. The only space that we would get were those chances in behind their defense. But in the second half, after about an hour, they start to tire, then there's gaps in between them, and we start to play in between. Our players start to get a lot more time on the ball for passes and those sorts of things. And then the goals start to rain. So there's so much to talk about on this episode, but I'm going to make sure I keep it as short as possible because I can sit here and wax lyrical about a lot of things that happened in about 30 minutes. A lot of good things that happened in about 30 minutes. There's so many of them. But 2 things that I want to talk about that impressed me for the whole of the 90 was that, firstly, Makala, what a player. Playing alone in this game, is sort of playing alone in a single pivot position. So I have a video that I did before this, which I'm going to link in the description below. And it's something, well, in that video I was speaking about where the Pirates should be playing with Dlamini or Saleng, right? But something I proposed, maybe not to spoil it for you. One of those things, though, is that maybe we can play a single pivot going forward, right? And that is to accommodate Dlamini in the starting 11. But you can go watch that video after you watch this one to get more of an idea of what I spoke about there. But in this game, Talent Mbata, who I'm going to come on to speak about in just a bit, and maybe a lot more later on in the week. But something that impressed me was that Talent Mbata was playing higher up alongside Patrick Maswanganyi, and then Makaula was almost a single pivot. And, just the amount of control, the sense of control and stability when Makala's playing is something that I really appreciate as a Pirates fan. And the only, thing that sort of breaks my heart about Makala is that he's so advanced in age. He's, I think, 36 this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I wish I was someone who worked in that Pirates medical team, medical department, to kind of get a feel for whether, the club thinks he can go on for more years because, I have spoken about before that we need to be thinking about releasing a few older players, but Makala is one of those hard ones just because of his sheer quality at that age. And I mean, we saw that dash when he dashed across the field when he scored against his former club, AmaZulu, how much speed he still got at that age. So, I mean, I wish I knew whether he can go on till maybe 38, 39, because he's one hell of a player, Makala. But someone else, again, who I was impressed with for the whole of the 90, I already spoke about him, Talent Mbata. What a player again. Now, I want to say that I'm 70% convinced that we should sign Talent Mbata. We should sign him and make sure that that loan deal becomes a permanent one and he stays at the club. The first reason is that he looks miles ahead of someone who's already in our books, which is Siphelelo Baloni. So for that reason alone, I would have him stay at the club. But not that alone. I mean, watching him today, which I'm still learning a lot more about him, But watching him today, I think I'm even more convinced that Mbata should stay at the club. Again, he's another one who gives us a sense of control. I think he's neat on the ball with his height and that sort of thing. The way that he gets that ball and controls it, and sometimes will push it forward. And I mean, he's the one that plays the pass for Patrick Maswanganyi, who's another one I'll speak about very soon, is that he passes the ball vertically to Maswanganyi, who's making really good movement in between, the Royal AM players. And then obviously Maswanganyi gets fouled and sort of outside the box, and we get given a penalty for that. But I was very impressed with the vertical passing of Mbata and how, he can protect the ball. His pressing is amazing. And so I was very impressed with Mbata as well. If Maswanganyi doesn't get the Man of the Match award, I think it has to go to Talent Mbata. But obviously Maswanganyi scored the penalty, and then maybe to sort of now move on over to Maswanganyi, who was wonderful in this game. He obviously scores the penalty that we get in the 25th minute, around there. And then in the second half, after about 60, I might be wrong, with the times, but after about 60, when we get our second goal, which gives us a bit more control in this game, is Maswanganyi plays. I think for me, the highlight of Maswanganyi's performance against Royal AM is that he plays a beautiful defense splitting pass to Mbata, who's making a wonderful run into that space. Something that I marvel at when midfielders make that run. That confuses defenders, because defenders are thinking of sticking with Mabasa, who's the striker, and sticking with, at the time I think Saleng was still on the pitch, and Mufukeng. But then when this midfielder then makes the run into the box or towards the box, then defenders don't know who should be sticking with him, right? Because he's escaped his man in the midfield, and now no one knows. So he's unpicked, and Maswanganyi plays a beautiful pass into him. Great way to control it, and then he slots it in the back of the net. And so that's the first thing that was wonderful about Maswanganyi. Really great pass, good to take the penalty and give us the lead. You want people to score when we have an opportunity to score when things aren't going great. So and then the funny thing is that he gets an assist for that Dlamini goal. So Dlamini comes on for Saleng. Again, I already spoke about, I think, Rivero will have played Saleng because I think he knew that we're going to get space behind Royal AM. So he plays with Saleng, who had a chance to score, give us the lead. It's a bit of a, I don't want to criticize that so much because he's outside the box. He tries to loop it over the goalkeeper. Unfortunately, it goes over the bar. But that sort of chance, I think Jose Rivero will have known that we're going to get it in behind that defense, because they're not very compact. I spoke about that in my preview of this game, that they're not compact. You're going to get spaces behind them, and then you're going to get spaces in between them as well. And I mean, if you're going to do that against Pirates, then you're going to get a 4 against you. And this is the second time we do it, and it's because Royal AM just doesn't. They're just not tight. And they do that a lot. I mean, even Stellenbosch, they conceded 3 goals, and I think TS Galaxy as well. And it's sort of the same problems with them, is that they're not compact, which are the very basics of football, I'd imagine, is that when you coach a team, you want to make sure to get them to be compact. You want to make sure when you're defending, the very basics of defending is that, very compact and close your goal. Give maybe the team spaces out wide, but you want to make sure you are compact between the lines. Not a lot of space between the left back or the right back and the centre back and the right back. You close that space, but you also close the space this way. The lines, make sure they are closer to each other, and then Pirates doesn't get the space in between to play. We sort of have to go side to side, and when we go that way, then you can also drop as well, and we don't get space in behind you. But surprisingly, Royal AM, they give us that space. They gave us the space behind them in the first half, which we didn't use to score. And then in the second half, I think they're too tired. People like Matlaba are just all over the place. He's popping up at central midfielder, that kind of thing. And so we have spaces all over, and we punish them. We score 3 more goals. Maswanganyi gets an assist for a Kabelo Dlamini accidental goal. I think he was trying to cross with his weaker foot. It obviously loops over the goalkeeper, and in the back of the net, and Maswanganyi gets 2 assists in this game after playing that assist to Talent Mbata. You know, something else that was very good, Relebohile Mofokeng scores, again, a wonderful placed sort of bottom corner finish. Tsofatso Mabasa plays him in, you know, a lot of space again in between the lines, a lot of space. I think the right back has overlapped, if I'm not mistaken. And then Mofokeng is now bearing down sort of with the centre back trying to cover that space. And then he puts the ball in between the feet of the defender and towards the corner. And I think that's the 3rd goal for us, and the 4th being Kabelo Dlamini's accidental goal, which was supposed to be a cross. And that's the 4th goal. And, you know, from there, you just know, actually, I think from the 60th minute when we score the 2nd goal, sort of around the 60th minute, it's over. I see it in the substitution. You know, the coach takes out Salengi, brings on Dlamini. I think that is to do with just sensing that now we want to control the game. I think, for me, the most impressive thing in this game is that we kept a clean sheet, because I think these are the tests for Pirates. Is that we know we can score a lot of goals, right? We've done that so many times this season, especially even at the start of the season, we scored a lot of goals. Recently, we scored 7 and 4 and that kind of thing, and we scored 4 again. But very seldomly do we go on and win without, you know, conceding a goal of our own. And credit to Sasani, credit to Gogi, who was substituted. Mtetwa came on, Nyambose. And obviously they don't score. Just a word on Sasani, you know, it's good that he's getting, you know, time out on the pitch. I am neither doubtful nor non-doubtful about him. I know there's no question for his ball-playing ability as a defender. I think he's one of those rare ones that's really good on the ball. How good he is defensively, I think he's yet to be tested. So far with the tests that he's received, I mean, I can't say he's done well. He's done fairly okay, right? I think just Pirates as a whole hasn't been defending really well in some games. And so, yeah, it's lovely when we get clean sheets. I'm sure they'll be celebrating that. I'm sure Jose Rivera will be celebrating that. But, yeah, it's been a great game, beating Royal AM as I expected. And let's be celebrating that. Cape Town City in the week, hoping to celebrate that as well, and just getting things ticking over like that, hoping that after 30 games we'll at least be 2nd on the log. Until the next time I'm on here, up the mighty Bucks. Cheers. I know you're craving some more of Talking Buccaneers content. Well, I have great news for you. If you hit that subscribe button right now, you'll stay up to date with all our future content.